In this paper, we present a novel caching scheme for computing global illumination at interactive rates in dynamic scenes. A sparse set of image plane samples is rendered using an expensive shading process such as path tracing. These samples are cached in an object space hierarchical mesh data structure called the shading cache. Image display is performed asynchronously from the shading cache update, so we can maintain a high frame rate at all times. Each patch is assigned a priority, which is used to guide the sampling process into visually important regions. A visualization of the priority map is shown in the lower left corner with brighter regions representing greater estimated error. The selected samples are shown as colored dots. Samples are picked by three processes: hit and test shown in red, random selection shown in green, and flood filling shown in yellow. This scheme usually captures important features in the image with very few samples, as seen from the mesh subdivision. Our technique can handle dynamic lighting conditions very efficiently. Notice the soft shadows and indirect lighting on the ceiling change as we move the light source. This is a scene illuminated mostly by diffuse indirect light. In this clip, we will see how the indirect illumination is rapidly updated as we move around the furniture and also the ceiling, which is an important secondary light source. Here we see indirect glossy reflections being computed interactively. In this experiment, we compute a caustic by area sampling the glossy ring. This experiment indicates that our system can be used with pixel-based renderers other than traditional path tracing.
We begin with a demo of a diffuse head model lit by an analytic circular light source. A 25-component transfer vector at each mesh vertex captures self-shadowing. Correct soft shadows are generated as the model moves and the lighting changes. This effect is impossible to achieve in real time with other methods such as multipass rendering or Monte Carlo ray tracing. We next compare accuracy of various orders of spherical harmonics. We begin with a small light source, where more bands are necessary for accuracy. With a medium-sized light source, differences are visible but less apparent between the higher-order harmonics. With a very large source, the higher-order harmonics look almost identical. We next compare shadowing methods. Difference between shadowed and unshadowed transfer is clear. Our method allows multiple lights to be added to the scene. Real-time performance is achieved no matter how many or how big they are. Here the head model is lit by synthetic geometry. At every frame, we capture incident radiance on the head by rendering a cube map on the graphics hardware. The cube map is then converted to spherical harmonics with a fast computation. Incident radiance can be sampled at more than a single point. This correctly accounts for local lighting, including its shadows. Here, 8 sample points were generated over the mesh using iterated closest point as a pre-process. Transfer vectors can represent diffuse interreflections as well as shadows. Here a bird model exhibits both shadows and interreflections that respond to lighting change. Interreflections are also simulated in a pre-process and don't change runtime performance at all. For glossy objects, we pre-compute a transfer matrix per vertex rather than a vector. The resulting model exhibits self-shadowing and interreflections that change dynamically. The lighting review can be changed separately in real time. We now show the Happy Buddha model in acquired environments. As before, we can rotate the model or the environment. The same model is rendered as diffuse using transfer vectors or glossy using transfer matrices. We can incorporate shiny objects into the pre-processed model to obtain caustics. The caustics change properly as we rotate the model or the environment. Self-transfer can be extended to volumetric data as well as surfaces. Soft shadows within this cloud respond to lighting changes in real time. We generalize self-transfer to neighborhood transfer so that objects can cast shadows and reflections onto dynamic receivers. The torus's transfer is represented as a 3D volume of transfer matrices surrounding it. Here a torus casts a soft shadow on a receiver plane which can be moved. This example is similar, but shows a dynamic caster moving over a fixed terrain receiver. Shadows accurately follow the moving glider and respond to its changing height.